Hello and welcome to Tomi Talks TV. I have one singular goal with this show, and that is to help you make smarter decisions so that you can have better relationships. As usual, I'd like to say a very big thank you for all your likes, your shares, your comments on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube. I really appreciate your support because you're helping us spread the message further faster. So thank you very much indeed. Now today I'm going to be taking one of your questions, and it's quite an interesting one. It says, if you have just met someone and you are convinced that you're in the right relationship, do you have to wait a bit longer before getting married to that person? Now I find this question very interesting. You haven't actually said what a bit longer means, but essentially what you're trying to say is, can you just meet someone and because you're convinced that the person is right for you, just essentially get married to them? Now I will say that it depends on a number of things. First of all, if this is someone that you knew before, someone whom you had been friends with, someone whom you had taken the time to observe, even though you were not in a relationship, it would be a completely different situation. So in that case, that person would not be a total stranger to you, and then I would say, well, you probably don't need to wait so long before getting married to them. But if this is someone who is a complete stranger, so someone you've just met, right, and you've got that conviction that this person is meant to be in your life, or you're both convinced that you're supposed to get married, what I'll simply say to you is this: test your convictions with time. Test your convictions with time. You see, because the Bible says something. It says the heart of man is deceitful. So essentially, sometimes our hearts can deceive us and tell us what we want to hear, not necessarily what is right. So what I'm saying is this: if you have a conviction, I'm not arguing that you don't have a conviction, but what I'm simply saying is this: take some time to observe this person, to develop the relationship to the point where you can prove that your convictions are right by the evidence that you see in the relationship. So how long then should you be in a relationship with someone before you get married to them? Well, that again depends. So if you're, maybe in your 20s, for instance, I would say that there really is no hurry, in getting married, because you're in your 20s. So you can take your time, a couple of years, sometimes 3 years, sometimes, people are in relationships. Take time, develop the relationship, strengthen the relationship before you choose to get married. If you're maybe in your 30s or you're in your 40s, then I would say at least a year. Spend at least a year in a relationship. You see, because if you get married to someone almost immediately after you met them, that means you spent most of your courtship planning a wedding. You see, and when it comes to planning a wedding, it's it adds a whole different layer of complication into your relationship. So that means that you've not had the time to actually be in a normal circumstance, because planning a wedding takes time. It's quite challenging. There are all sorts of issues that come up from all sorts of angles, and that makes it difficult for you to really spend the time that you need to spend to bond in that relationship. And let me also say that, you see, the time that you spend together before the relationship, before the marriage, actually prepares you for adjustment after you get married. Because what happens is this: you have seasoned your relationship with time. So you've been able to see each other in all sorts of different circumstances. You've been through various different seasons. You've been through the good times, you've been through the challenging times. You've seen how you both react when there are challenges. You've worked through conflict together, and that helps you to develop a stronger bond until you are convinced that yes, this conviction that we have is really for real. Because sometimes when I counsel people and they're married, and they're like, well, this was not the person that I thought I got married to. You find out that they married that person almost as a stranger, and then they suddenly get married and they start discovering things that they never ever thought about that person. So what I'm saying is this: reduce the number of surprises that you will get after you get married, because the first year of marriage can be challenging on its own, even after you spend some time in a relationship. So make it easier on yourself. Spend that time, develop the relationship, strengthen it, learn together what it takes to make each other happy, and how to work through conflict, how to communicate, all those little things that you develop, so that when you actually enter into marriage, the first year of marriage, it's easier for you to adjust. So essentially, that's what I would advise. Take time, test your convictions, and season that relationship before you actually get married. Well, I hope this has helped you. If this has helped you, then please leave me a message on Facebook, on Instagram, or YouTube, or Twitter, or wherever it is you're watching from. And if you've got a question you would like me to answer, then head on over to tomitalks.com/ask, and I'll answer your question next time. See you next time. Bye-bye.